Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here in this forum to speak about financing or debt raising. And for that, we have here Mustafa Demir. He works at CBF that belongs to Pew. He has been working there for 7 years, and he has previous experience working for UniCredit too. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank you for trusting in our project since the first minute. Next to him, we have Jose Maria. He work as a global advisory director at Rothschild. He has been working there for 9 years, I guess. He has a vast experience, even though he looks pretty young, but he has a vast experience in this sector. He has been working for BNP Paribas and Merrill Lynch. But also, I would like to thank you for that, because you make everything easier for us. So thank you. To start, I'm gonna make a few questions, and the first one is going to be for Mustafa. When a telecom company, in order to be able to deploy more network or to acquire another asset, what should it be clear before approaching a fund like yours?
I mean, we are an infrastructure fund in essence. So we have a certain understanding of risk. For us, managing risk is the core of the business. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to take any risk. So for us, the risks we take should be measurable and calibrated with the investment itself. Mm-hmm. So to give you an example, if it's an internet service provider, for us it is very difficult to grab that risk and understand it, because it's so much merchant type of risk, whereby you are open to lots of competition, and you're also open to a vast majority fragmented customer base. As an infrastructure fund, it is the stability part that is more important when investing. So for any telecoms company or any investor coming to funds like us for partnerships, that's the one thing they need to put in their mind. If what they are looking at is really a contractual situation, is a long-term investment, if the barriers of entry are there, and how much competition they are facing, these are the things we look at.
Nice, thank you. And for you, Jose Maria, is this question related to the one that I just made to Mustafa? What is the first step you recommend for a company that is seeking advice or that is seeking financing?
Okay, first of all, thanks for inviting me to this today. It was a pleasure for us to work with you guys. And related to your question, I think the answer is easy. You should hire us again to raise any financing. Jokes aside, at the end of the day, what you want to build with your counterparty is trust. As mentioned by Mustafa, this type of investor are long-term investors, so they need to believe that there is good visibility on the cash flow profile. And how you can do that? One way is to demonstrate that there is a specific need, that there is an absence of an offer, that the people need this product. And the other thing that you need is time to execute it. So the first step should always be to build a detailed business plan with specific milestones that are achievable, not so for the short term and for the long term. And combined with this, you need to make a proper assessment of the situation. You need to understand the market, for where are your competitors, the footprint. You need to understand as well the operators that are in the area. You need to have a good understanding of the legal framework, of the financing, and the technology. Make sure that what you are going to implement is something that could be there for the long term, as mentioned by Mustafa. Because you don't want to be updating the technology, because otherwise it's complicated for you guys to achieve the return. Then it's important as well to have a good equity partner, because otherwise, without this equity injection, it's going to be very challenging for you to be able to raise that financing. even if you have a guarantee or you have a good PPA behind this project. And combining these factors, you will have a perfect idea of what's the liquidity required to implement the project.
The first thing that you say when I ask you the question is to work with us again.
Yeah.
But as long as I know, it is not easy to work with Rothschild, because you don't take any company that go to your door, knocking your door, and you say, "Hey, I'm willing to pay the fee, whatever it is, and work with you." But it's up to you, right? That you choose to work with the other company or not. So what are the aspects?
We need to make sure that what we are trying to sell to the potential lenders is something that is achievable, that the project makes sense, and that we believe in the project. We need to be the first one that believe on that project, because otherwise, if we are not able to explain the debt investors the rationale of the project, if we don't trust or believe on that project, it's going to be impossible to get the outcome that we all want. So it's not a matter of size, of the client, of the sponsor. It's more a matter of make sure that we are confident that we are going to be able to execute the project.
All right. And what are the most common mistakes that happen during the preparation phase?
Try to run.
Try to run.
Because people think that the faster you go, the easier it will be. You will get everything the funds before. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your counterparty understands correctly the project. Because at the end of the day, they will be the deep team will be the one that will be presenting the file to their investment committee. And if they are not aware of the full project perfectly, it's going to be very challenging for them to defend it internally. And I would say that another common mistake that we see, everyone does it, is to be very aggressive in terms of milestones. Like telling the counterparty that they will be able to achieve in a year time, a specific number of homes passed, homes connected, or even agreements with players. And if you don't get to that point and you haven't signed the agreement, the financing agreement, it's going to be challenging to keep them on board, because at the end of the day, as mentioned, you are building a long-term relationship. Yeah. Trust is critical. If they don't trust you, they are not going to spend time. For them, time is money. And they are not going to put the money that you require to execute the project. So at the end of the day, we are preparing everything to build a relationship.
And this is a question for both of you. How does the type of telecom company, that could be FTTH or towers or backbone, influence the appetite of a potential lender or investor? So is there any kind of telecom company that is more attractive to potential lender now, or
there is always like contemporary effects of general events? Okay, sometimes a certain industry can attract more attention. That's true, but for an equity investor, for debt investors, they look at it in a different way. Like equity investors, they look at it in a way. We try to look at it from an equity angle. You would like to have upside, right? We would like to make money on the upside of this thing. For us, we have to be able to, as an equity investor, you have to be able to gauge the market interest much more than the others. Because in the end, where you make money is basically you need to have an entry and exit strategy. Okay, and there's an entry for an exit, and you need to be able to prospect what's going to happen in the future. So in order to do that, just basically having trying to see how the market is, or prophesize how the market is going to evolve. We try to see if there is an intrinsic value in the long term. Mm-hmm. I mean, what we are investing in is going to stay there. People are going to use it. So we are trying to ask fundamental questions rather than trying to see if there are other industries. And right now, for example, data centers are very interesting, right? But for any deal that we are looking at, we would like to see if there is a long-term value of it, not because it's just so popular right now.
Mm-hmm. I think, as you mentioned, there is a clear value to be the first mover. First mover is critical in this industry. And I think it has changed a lot now, because between 2013 and 2016, the towers were like the best assets in the telecom space. Then we moved to fiber. When fiber was in 2016 and even today, that's the great assets. And today we have moved, as mentioned by Mustafa, to the data centers, because there is a lack of offer. The capacity is not is below what the market can support. But it's true. What we are seeing on the equity side is investors looking as well as PPAs behind these data centers. No, a couple of years ago, even debt investors and equity investors were targeting this kind of assets without PPAs, without connection to the grid, and now it's true that it's let's say the most attractive asset in the space, but they start looking as well as other complements such as PPA behind, good connection, good reconnection, to make sure that it is profitable for the long term. No? Because as mentioned by Mustafa, long term is critical, and even if today there is a lack of capacity, people are moving very fast, and they want to make sure that they secure the cash flow. It is critical for that.
All right. Going back to the financing process, in terms of due diligence, what are the key factors that you think are critical to get over them successfully? Because according to my experience, of course, you know, there are a lot of due diligence processes in terms of legal, commercial, financing.
I mean, I can say like very quickly two things for what our experience tells us. Basically, one thing is the first thing is that it should be well coordinated. Okay, from the start. So because in due diligences there are like different types of, there's legal, there's financial, there's commercial, there is tax, there is insurance. So there are like many other things around this due diligence, but they should be very well coordinated in terms of timing and in terms of the goal. Okay, so what kind of story you're telling? Are you selling your company in a low risk, low return type, or you're selling is a more growth story? So everything, this story needs to hold up. So there should be very well coordinated. That's why like the advisors and CFOs are generally the ones that are coordinating this. They are carrying a lot of weight. And second thing is that you need to be well prepared. Okay, so you cannot just like as Rosa Maria said, cannot rush. You need to take your time if necessary to be well prepared. Think about it. What you are selling. What kind of a plan are you selling? What kind of a story are you selling? So these things need to be consistent with each other. So,
and I think at the end of the day, the due diligence needs to confirm what has been communicated by the management to the counterparty. So it needs to be pretty much aligned, and you cannot, let's say, deviate. Management cannot deviate from a realistic position, because at the end of the day, the credit investors will always require this third-party confirmation, because at the end of the day, the due diligence provider work on a daily basis in this sector. Management, of course, have the full knowledge of the project because they have spent time on it and they believe in it after the assessment that they've done. But the DD needs to confirm everything. So it's a critical aspect for credit investments.
And in terms of ratios, which one do you think are the most sensitive in the telecom projects? I'm pretty sure that you're going to say pretty much the same one. But
I think the view for the financing, for the debt and for equity is very different. Okay, at least the priorities are different. When we look at this, we try to look at very basically, we are junior to the debts. Okay, so that's the fundamentally where we are. So we need to be able to make sure that we make enough, we generate enough cash for debts, and then whatever rest is going to come to liquidity investors. So for us, fundamentally, principally, the growth prospects, growth KPIs, and how it's going to evolve is much more important. But when you are doing infrastructure, you need to basically optimize your cost of capital. That's why you have to always think about debt at the same time when you're talking about equity. When you look at that, then you focus on cash. Okay, how much how much your variable cost base is, how much you need to spend to grow. What's your growth capex? So cash generation KPIs are generally extremely important whenever we look at things because of the infrastructure nature.
It's true that trade investors are only focused on cash flow profile. But in terms of ratios that they look at, I think we need to differentiate between two phases. First of all, the construction phase, where they will have more a gearing approach to check what's the total cost of the project and set a threshold of the maximum amount or the maximum percentage they could fund it with debt. And then they will check as well the kickoff of the project now in terms of homes passed and homes connections, how it's compared with the total debt raise to make sure it remains at a reasonable level. And then once construction is done and you are, let's say, ramping up your business or operations, so they start to focus more on cash flow, the ability to generate cash. So they look to the debt service cover ratio and as a price sanity check as well to make sure that the debt remains as the debt capacity is correctly calculated. They check as well the net leverage, but mainly focus on cash flow, ability to generate the cash that is required to serve the debt, the interest, and if any amortization. No?
Thank you. And we are just wrapping up. And this is the last question for both of you. What is the one key advice that you will give to any company, any telecom company that is actually looking for financing right now? That maybe they can hear us or they can see this interview and maybe they can use it.
I mean, for us, for an infrastructure fund, if they are looking to raise equity debts, they need to know first, I mean, the first really thing, I mean, for every investor, for every company probably, but every entrepreneur, let's say, they need to understand themselves first, okay? What their strengths are and what their weaknesses are.
What they're selling to, right?
Nobody can be perfect. They should also assume that. And they need to present a realistic description. But for that, they need to be realistic with themselves. Okay.
I think you need to be well prepared because you want to build a long-term relationship.
When you say well prepared, what do you mean? Like in terms of financially, like
understanding of your project and what you want to achieve, and how you're going to use that money. Because at the end of the day, you are speaking with people that are used to working this type of project on a daily basis. It's not a one-off transaction for them. It's not the first time. So for the company, it's going to be a learning experience. Each day they will learn something new. There will be moments that they will be afraid of the number of questions they will receive because at the end of the day they are not used to, and they cannot understand why someone is asking this question, which seems logical for the company, but on the other side of the table, it's difficult to understand the things. So you need to be super well prepared and know that it's going to be a long process. Don't try to speed up everything. Things take time, but you only need to make sure that your counterparty understands the project and believes on it. If they believe on it, it's going to be easier for them to sell it internally.
When you say well prepared, the company can think that they are well prepared and they approach to you, for example, to Rothschild, and it seems that they are not. And this is something that you also help the company to be, right?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we want to help your counterparty to present internally things. So if we do a proper credit memo explaining the project story, why there is an interesting project, why we see growth, where's the opportunity, how we are going to finance it, what's your end customers or relationship with the key agreements that you have signed. So put everything together to facilitate their job. In addition to a financial model that will help them to understand how you, in a, let's say, downside scenario, how you can stretch the ratios.
All right. Thank you guys for being here and for having this time with us. Hope to see you soon again.
Thank you very much.